Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Asiatic Society's Lit Club program, an evening of poetics through Mustanzir Dalvi's walk. I request everyone to mute their audio and stop their video for better connectivity. Over to you, Meenal.
So, good evening, everyone. I am Meenal Shirsagar, and as chairperson of the Literary Club of the Asiatic Society of Mumbai, I am happy to welcome you here this evening for this conversation around the quadrilingual book of poems, Mustanzir Dalvi's Walk, which was first published in 2020, I think in October 2020. And we are very excited that he has accepted our invitation, and today his publisher, Mr. Divte, has just shown us the new version of the book, which is not as yet been released, but maybe he can hold it up for everyone to see just now, Mr. Divte. So we are the first to see the book. All right, with the new cover. And it's just been published, and maybe we'll release it in January in the Darbar Hall. Let's see. But in any case, we are really honored that the Asiatic Society is the very first forum in which the new publication, the republication of this book will be discussed. So thank you very much indeed. Dr. Dalvi, thank you very much. We are also delighted that Yamini Dansha, who is herself a poet, will engage in conversation with him and his co-translators, Hemant Divte and Udayan Thakkar. We will listen to them reciting the poems in 4 quintessential Mumbai languages, Marathi, Gujarati, Hindi, and of course, the original in English. So to provide very briefly some context, the idea of home has been at the center of discussions and debates in a constantly changing perspective brought on by the pandemic. We witnessed a veritable exodus of free-willed workers packing their scanty belongings into small bundles as they crisscrossed the country in search of home. What did home mean to them? A comfort, a longing, a search for the pursuit of friendship and happiness and understanding and connection with nature and family. They fled a situation where their very existence was on shaky ground, living through a prolonged experience of being nowhere, the trauma of being forced to flee from the cities and walk hundreds of miles home in the most appalling conditions. We hear the voices of the dispossessed through these poems, through the poems in this collection that touch your heart, move your mind, and kindle your soul. Poems written, as Dr. Dalvi has said, from his sense of helplessness, frustration, and anger in 2020. I quote him, poems that I thought would be archived as a witnessing, a document of the times. While we have the privilege of our contemplation through art, there are people walking even today towards home or towards their workplace with very little to call their own, and the loss of home as their new normal. I would like to also quote a couple of other people, because such multiple quotations. So in his latest book of poetry, Mustanzir Dalvi defies expectations of style and thought as he reflects on the migrant crisis. His poems, to quote Abhay K., ooze the sound, smell, and taste of the earth he inhabits. His ears attentive, his eyes witness to the great drama of life unfolding. And Danish Hussain says, I quote, his words melt into emotional lava. His poems simmer, surge, and take over one's senses. This is onomatopoeic, petrichor-like sensation of fleeting ghost textures, which I thought was a very beautiful way of putting it. So before handing over the proceedings to our anchor, Yamini, I must introduce the audience to each of the four speakers. Allow me, please. So Mustansir Dalvi is a poet, translator, and editor. He has 3 books of poems in English: Brouhahas of Cox, 2013, Cosmopolitan, 2018, and Walk, which was first published in 2020 by Yavanika Press, and now in 2021 it's Poetry Wala that is just published. In fact, it released today. His poems have been translated into French, Croatian, Hindi, Gujarati, and Marathi. Mustansir Dalvi's 2012 English translation of Muhammad Iqbal's influential Shikwa and Jawab from the Urdu as taking issue and Allah's answer has been described as insolent and heretical. He is the editor of Man Without a Navel, a collection of translations of Hemant Divte's poems from the Marathi in 2018. Surprisingly, Mustansir Dalvi is an architect. He lives in Bombay, he was born in Bombay, and he's professor of architecture at the Sir J.J. School of Architecture, Sir J.J. College of Architecture, sorry. He has postgraduate qualifications in architecture and Indian aesthetics from the University of Mumbai. He received his PhD degree from the Indian Institute of Architects, Mumbai in 2017. The title of his doctoral research is Buildings as Text, Developing a Semiotic of Bombay's Art Deco Architecture, 1930 to 1949. Mustansir is also the editor of 20th Century Compulsions published by Marg, a collection of writings about early Indian modernist architecture from some of the most important practitioners of the time. His latest book is The Past is Present, Pedagogical Practices in Architecture at the Bombay School of Art. Mustansir Dalvi is also columnist for various online and print news outlets, where he critically observes Mumbai's urbanity and charts the semiotics of its contradictions. He's particularly interested in the development of Bombay's architecture during its emergence as a vibrant metropolis. So we really have a multifaceted personality here. And thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this program. It really is an honor for us.
Thank you. It's a delight to be here.
Yes, now to move on to Dr. Yamini Dhansha. She's an academic and editorial advisor, research repository, Asian Heritage Foundation, literature curator and core team of the Kalagoda Arts Festival, and editor of Paper Wall Publishing. She's also author of the poetry collection Abstract Oralism, published this year in 2021. Maybe she'll tell us a little about it herself. So to give you a little background, Yamini has a PhD in English literature from the University of Mumbai in 2017 and has researched extensively as a research scholar. She has experience in teaching English literature to BA and MA students as visiting faculty at the Institute of Distance and Open Learning. Now I move to Hemant Divte. He's a Marathi poet, editor, publisher, and translator, and a poetry activist. He's the author of 7 poetry collections in Marathi. Poetry Wala has recently published his Struggles with Imagined Gods and Other Poems in English translation, and Paranoia in the original Marathi. His poems have been translated into 30 international languages. He's the founder editor of the prestigious Marathi Little magazine, Abhinantar, Abhidanantar, which saw uninterrupted publication for 18 years. It has been credited for providing a solid platform to new poets, and for enriching the post-90s Marathi literary scene. And maybe Mr. Dipte will tell us a little about this magazine as well in the course of the conversation. His publishing house, Paperwall Publishing, has published more than 100 poetry collections. So that is quite superb. Thank you. And he has won several prominent awards, including the Bharatiya Bhasha Parishad Award from Calcutta, the Maharashtra Foundation Award USA, and Akshar Rang Lokmat Award. Hemant has presented his poetry in many national and international poetry and literature festivals in Europe, Latin America, and Asia. So thank you very much, Hemant, for joining us. And now, fourthly, Udayan Thakkar. He's only because of the order of, not for any other reason. So he's a Gujarati poet whose first volume of poems was accepted as a textbook in a university. Many translations of his poems have been published in Indian Literature, Stand, published from Leeds, and Poetry, Chicago, among others. He writes a weekly column on world literature in Gujarati Samachar, the Gujarati newspaper with the largest circulation. A volume of translations of his poems has been published in English as also in Japanese. And he is editor of poetryindia.com. So we have this wonderful panel today that Yamini will be she has organized, she's planned it. So I hand over the proceedings to her. Thank you, Yamini. Thank you very much. But you're on mute. So you will have to, thank you.
Thank you so much, Meenal Shirsagar. It was a very, very warm and detailed introduction, and we are all very thankful for giving us this Asiatic Society platform for this evening of poetics through Mustansir Dalvi's book, The Walk. I would like to begin by saying that Walk, translated into 4 languages, Marathi by Hemant Divte, Gujarati by Udayan Thakkar, and the English and the Hindi by Dr. Dalvi himself, make me recall chain poems that progress with arbitrary rules where each participant adopts from its predecessor. The rules govern the subject matter and form, generating each out of the other, like there are guidelines for movements of homonyms, anagrams, and so on. One example of that being the Mexican or the Spanish of Octavio Paz, then converted into the British English by Charles Tomlinson, the French by Jacques Rubard, and the Italian of Edoardo Sanguinetti. To illustrate, another example would be a tanka, which when divided, goes on multiplying and proliferates as parthenogenesis. One such attempt is made by Dr. Mustansir Dalvi, focusing on the migrant crisis. Speaking of which, it is imperative to understand the psychology of the circular migrant worker. The city provides for the family, whereas in times of distress, home, no matter however far away, beckons, may it be for economic or for familial reasons. The closest comparison of this long, harrowing walk was the partition of 1947. And even then, transport options were open for some distances and did not affect all parts of India. It is this grave situation, coupled with nuances of 4 different languages and paintings of Sudhir Patwardhan, that accrue meaning to Covidocene and its grim realities that situates Walk. It also makes allusions to popular culture via Boli Bhasha and truck art as an attempt to examine and unlock deeper significance of metaphors that are accepted by people in dissimilar ways. Analysis of frequently conveyed messages through skillfully employed epigraphy and poetic interpretations leave an ironic effect and make it more fun than its aesthetic value. It is this linguistic felicity of expression that I wish to compliment Dr. Dalvi on and ask of him, what was the tipping point of poetic reflection punctuated by popular culture before you envisioned walk? Dr. Dalvi?
Thank you, Yamini. That was a very, very nuanced and textured introduction to the poems. To respond to your question, I would like to say that unlike most of my other kind of poetic enterprises, Walk was conceived as a set of poems in totality, even before I kind of wrote them. And the intention was to create a set of very short poems. As you can see in this book, most poems are about 10 lines or so, which in many different ways convey the entire experience of what was happening in large parts of 2020. We were all witness to it from our homes where we were locked down, but every day we saw what was happening on the streets of the country, far and wide, where we had so many people who were kind of dispossessed, moving in, almost in a hopeless kind of manner. With this idea, which you began with just now, the kind of glimmer of home as perhaps that one beacon that one is automatically pulled towards. Now, I look at this set of poems as a bit of solidarity with the people who have experienced this. Like I mentioned in the afterword here, it's not that I was walking with them. I was in lockdown, so I was ensconced in my home. I really needed nothing. I was perfectly all right. But looking at what was happening, I found that these poems were my attempt at solidarity with our fellow countrymen who were experiencing this. Now, one of the ways of that making that connect was to seek out a certain common ground between, the poetry one is writing and the allusions that come from that. And a popular culture became one of the means by which I could both express the solidarity as well as extend the common ground. So as you rightly said, one of the means of doing that is in language. So it is very colloquial in the kind of language we use, multilingual. We use several languages all at once in a very unself-conscious manner. And because this was an experience of walking on the streets of the country, truck art, which is something which has always been part of our larger popular culture, played an important role in orienting several of these poems as well. An example of truck art is the very famous, horn, okay, please, which we find at the back of trucks, or, Buri Nazar Wale Tera Muh Kala, which is a very, very common thing. So I took on some of those memes, if you like, which we frequently find on the backs of trucks, and they became the muse of some of the poems in this collection.
Would you also read a few of your poems to illustrate this?
Okay. What I can do is maybe in terms of truck art, I think it can emerge over the period of this conversation. But I would like to read two poems. One is an event which you will remember from last year, which was the banging of utensils in a kind of solidarity with the people who were working towards alleviating the virus. But how would this be seen through the eyes of the people who are walking on the streets? So this is a poem called Thali Peet, and that is obviously a pun, especially would be understood by people in Maharashtra, because Thali Peet is a kind of food item. But Thali Peet also is a pun for beating a thali with a utensil. So Thali Peet. And so it comes to pass as the flock cleaves the incandescent canyons of Ghodbandar Road, they are startled by an almighty clangor. All eyes move upwards to Satwik balconies, from whence rise a cacophony of heavy metal, the crashing of rolling pins on steel bartans, the riffing of serving spoons on thalis. The drill is familiar. Standard operating procedure back home to shoo away locusts and pestilent langurs. Warning past, they quicken their pace. Another poem, again now directly related with the experience of trucks, because as people walked, they would hitch rides as and when they could, and that experience itself would be a very uncertain kind of thing. So this is a poem called Bulkhead and Cargo. 12:03 p.m. A truck slows, shuddering relief. All run, hands meet hands. Alley-oop, body parts like Hakka noodles fill the bed. The top is pulled down, darkness at noon. Legs scissor, arms twist, torsos tribung, the newest shunted up front, where redolence of sweat lubricates all, bulkhead and cargo. Parched by mid-morning, a request for water. Will my piss do? Sit tight, count your blessings, put on your mask, Gandu. So these are two poems from the book.
So very powerfully and put in such a way that it makes you relive the entire experience through words, and also it brings an entire image across. And with that, I would like to move on to our बिनधास्त व बेधडक स्वतःच्या कर्तृत्वाने वर येणारे बंधू आमचे हेमंत भाऊ. सर्वसाधारण जनमानसांना घेऊन कार्य करणे हेच आपले कार्यक्षेत्र. त्याने उत्पन्न होणारी कष्टकऱ्यांची बोली भाषा, ज्याच्यात जात, धर्म, पंत आणि देश जन्मसिद्ध हक्कासारखं आपल्या कवितेत व चला या भाषांतरमध्ये प्रक्षेपित असतो. हातभर आणि परिश्रमी श्रमिकांच्या संदर्भात लिहिताना आपण ही कष्टकऱ्यांची भाषा निर्माण केली तरी कशी, आम्हाला सांगा हेमंत भाऊ.
नमस्कार.
नमस्कार.
आता मी थोडीशी स्टोरी सांगतो. कारण काय आहे की मी आपल्या गावातून आलेलं एक छोटस आपलं शेणवा नावाचं गाव होतं शहापूर तालुक्यामध्ये. इथून आता 80 किलोमीटर 93 किलोमीटर आहे. त्या गावामध्ये आमचे वडील नोकरी करायचे आणि ते मायनर इरिगेशन नावाचं एक डिपार्टमेंट असतं, पाणी पुरवठा वगैरे शेतीसाठी करण्यासाठी, तिकडे ते असायचे. तर त्यांच्यामुळे आम्ही सगळ्या गावामध्ये सगळीकडे फिरायचो. आणि त्यावेळेला आमच्या इकडे राहायला वगैरे कुठं राहायचं, तर आमचं एक मुस्लिम कुटुंब होतं, त्यांच्या बाजूला आमची छोटीशी रूम होती, ती आम्ही तिकडे राहायचो. त्यावेळेला मी आणि माझा भाऊ असे दोघंच तिकडे होतो. त्यानंतर आम्ही असं वेगवेगळ्या ठिकाणी राहायला लागलो आणि असं त्याच्यामुळे जाती भेद धर्म वगैरे काहीच नाही. आणि माझ्या सगळ्या जन्मभर आता मुंबईत पण राहिल्यामुळे आता 54 वर्षापैकी 27 वर्ष मी छोट्या छोट्या गावात राहिलो आणि सगळ्या प्रकारच्या भाषा अनुभवल्या. स्वतः त्या आपोआपच येतात, म्हणजे आल्या. त्याच्यामुळे मी वेगवेगळ्या खरं म्हटलं तर ह्या बोली आहेत, त्यातलं मी काय काय स्वतः पण घेतलेलं आहे. आणि खरं म्हटलं तर मी अख्खं डिस्कशन तुम्हाला ह्या गावातल्या भाषेमध्ये करून दाखवू शकतो. पण मला हे माहिती आहे की एशियाटिकमध्ये मराठीत ज्यांना समजत नाही अशीच लोक भरपूर असतील, तर त्यांना बाकीच्या भाषा तरी कळणार कशा, म्हणजे बाकीच्या बोली असलेल्या. पण ह्या कविता ज्या मी ट्रान्सलेट केलेल्या आहेत त्याच्यासाठी मला जो खरं म्हटलं तर हे मुंबईतल्या रस्त्यावरून फिरल्यावर कुठे वेगवेगळ्या भागात तुम्हाला भाजीवाल्यांचा वेगळा आवाज येतो ऐकायला, फुलवाल्यांचा वेगळा येतो, मच्छीवाली बाई आणि ते मच्छी मार्केटमध्ये वेगळा येतो, चिकन मार्केट मटन मार्केट इकडे वेगळा येतो. नुसतं मुंबईतल्या मुंबईत सुद्धा अशी भरपूर गावं आहेत खरं म्हटलं तर. आता मी राहतोय अंधेरीमध्ये, ते माझ्या बाजूला चकाळा गाव आहे. तर मला असं मस्त फिरताना असं वाटतं की अरे इथे वेगवेगळे किती आवाज येतात. कदाचित मला मला फॅसिनेशन आहे पहिल्यापासून भाषेबद्दल, त्यामुळेच मला ते वेगवेगळे आवाज येतात आणि मी ह्या सगळ्या लोकांशी बोलू शकतो. म्हणजे थांबतो, मुद्दाम काहीतरी विचारतो आणि माहिती करून घेतो. आणि त्या लोकांना पण काहीतरी समजा कुठे संभाषण वाढलं वगैरे तर त्यांना पण सांगतो, अरे असं नाही, असं केलं तर जास्त चांगलं होईल, या रस्त्याने जा वगैरे वगैरे. जे असतं ते म्हणजे माणसाशिवाय मी जगू शकत नाही. त्यामुळे ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी आलेल्या आहेत आणि त्यामुळेच त्या अनुवाद करताना सुद्धा आलेल्या आहेत. मी मराठीत स्वतः जेव्हा कविता लिहितो त्यावेळेला मात्र मी जास्त बोलीभाषा वापरत नाही, कारण एवढी वर्ष 27 वर्ष आणि आता 27 अशी 54 वर्ष ज्या वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारच्या भाषा ऐकल्या, त्यातून माझी एक जी मराठी त्या मराठीत मी लिहितो. आता ती पण खरं म्हटलं तर जर काही तुम्ही पाठ्यपुस्तकातली मराठी काढलीत तर त्याच्यासारखी अजिबात नाही. म्हणजे मला असंही समजू शकतात लोक की ह्या माणसाला कुठलीही भाषा शुद्ध बोलता येत नाही, पण त्याला मी आता काहीच करू शकत नाही. तर मला असं वाटतं की जास्त लांबवायचं नव्हतं म्हणून मी जरा सगळं थोडक्यात सांगितलेलं आहे. आणि जर समजलं नसेल तर तुम्हाला मी दुसऱ्या भाषेत सांगू शकतो. म्हणजे कोल्हापूरच्या भाषेत सांगायचं तर कोल्हापूरच्या भाषेत सांगतो, नाही तर मग मले माहित नाही असं करून मी विदर्भातल्या भाषेमध्ये पण सांगू शकतो. किंवा आपल्या हे जे ट्रकातले वगैरे लोक आहेत ना त्यांच्या भाषेमध्ये पण सांगू शकतो. म्हणजे ट्रकातले सगळे लोक जे आहेत ते वेगवेगळ्या महाराष्ट्राच्या भागातून येतात, ते कमावतात, रोजीरोटी कमावतात, रोज काहीतरी त्यांच्या घरी घेऊन जातात. हेच आमचे सगळे लाडकी लोक आहेत. आणि त्यानंतर तुम्ही. धन्यवाद.
असं वाटतंय की अजून अजून तुमच्या वेगवेगळ्या भाषेत आम्ही ऐकतच राहावं. पण आता तुम्ही हे तुमच्या वॉक मधल्या मराठी भाषांतरच्या 2 कविता आम्हाला नक्की सांगावे.
वाचून दाखवतो. हा, तर ते सगळ्या ह्या कविता ट्रान्सलेट करताना मला एक लक्षात आलं की all the time when I look at this poem and when I read it, I always think of changing it. And that's why this book has taken so long time. And I'm still not satisfied with what we have done. I mean, what I have done rather. And
that is also because the nature of language itself is always evolving, and more so with the Boli Bhasha. तर आय कॅन अंडरस्टँड तुमचं हे this
No,
असमंजस
there is a
झालं.
conflict actually whether I should use Boli Bhasha or should I use formal Marathi or should I use what you call a mix of both. I exactly don't know, and I'm trying to make sense. Let me read this poem. बघूया. मुंबईनं भिकेस लावलं अरुण कोलटकरच्या कवितेने प्रेरित. मुंबईनं भिकेस लावलं, मुंबईने भिकस लावलं, जे होतं ते एका बिस्लरीसाठी विकलं. ज्या शहराला नाव नाही अशा शहरानं पुरवलं मला सत्तू आणि गुळ. एका ट्रक ड्रायव्हरला भेटलो, स्वतःची हालत ऐकवली. तो स्वतःच मला पुराण ऐकून झाला रफू चक्कर. रस्त्यात मिळाली एक फेकलेली बिडी. रस्त्यात मिळाली एक फेकलेली बिडी, खिशात ठेवली. आग्रा रोडला पोहोचलो आणि चप्पल झाल्या एकाच्या 2. बस तेव्हाच केला विचार ठाम, परत कधी नाही परतायचं मुंबईला. दुसरी आहे आपलं डेली कर्म. ह्या कर्मला मी इकडे एका ठिकाणी कर्मच ठेवलं, एका ठिकाणी करम असं केलंय. ते समजून घ्यालच म्हणजे आपोआपच. असं हाय ना बये, हा देश ना गव्हर्नमेंट नाही चालवत, हा देश जुगाडनी चालतो. जुगाडसाठी पण गरजच असते भाऊ कर्माची. बाईसाठी पण जरुरी आहे तिच्या मर्दानं काम करणं. पैक्यावाले लोक वाचतात. आमच्या नशिबी ठेवलंय फक्त मेहनत. आमासनी किमान मेहनत तर करू द्याल. तुम्ही करा तुमचं करम. माया नाकात काठी घुसून आणि कानपट्टीवर प्लास्टिकची पिस्तूल लावून तुम्हासनी काय वाटतंय अशा भयंकर गरमीत कुणाला कर्माचं फळ मिळणार आहे. धन्यवाद. मला ऍक्च्युली या भाषा ऐकायची सवय आहे. बोलायची सवय नसल्यामुळे मला या कविता वाचताना स्वतःलाच जरा प्रॉब्लेम होतो, पण तुम्ही समजून घ्याल आणि हे पुस्तक वाचा. कारण हे पुस्तक खरं म्हटलं तर वेगवेगळ्या भाषेतलं असल्यामुळे ते वाचल्यानंतर तुम्हाला खरं म्हटलं तर ह्यातली कळ जी आहे, कळ आणि ह्यातलं दुःख जे आहे ते जास्त चांगल्या रीतीने कळेल. काही दिवसांनी आम्ही ते उपलब्ध करून देणारच आहोत. बट टिल देन थँक यू व्हेरी मच.
अगदी उत्तम. થેન્ક યુ સો મચ હેમંત ભાઉ. આગળ વધતા ટૂંકમાં એક વાત કહીશ. અનુવાદની ક્રિયા એમ તો બે સંસ્કૃતિનું મીઠું સમન્વય છે અને ઉદયનભાઈ તમે એ નિપુણતાથી પરિપૂર્ણ કરો છો. ખાસ કરીને ચાલવું માં કેવી તફાવતોનો સામનો કરવું પડે છે એ તમારા ઉત્કૃષ્ટ અનુભવોથી જણાવવાનો પ્રયત્ન કરશો તમે?
Yamini, you are doing a very good job. This quadrilingual volume might as well have been translated and written by you alone. Now, since many facets of translations cannot all be touched upon in a brief moment, I will merely deal with one or two. Yamini, you yourself quoted so many examples of translations in Spanish, French, English, and so forth of Latin American poetry, I recollect that Octavio Paz had once stated that poetry is something that does not survive in translation. And yet, the world is such a richer place because through the centuries, we have had translations of the Iliad, the Odyssey, the Aeneid, and what have you, and right up to, if we look at the last century, you may remember, since you are a scholar of English literature, that Alvarez had edited the Penguin series of modern European poetry. And while writing a preface, I think of Zygmunt Herbert and Vasco Popa, the poet laureate of England, Ted Hughes, had said that the best poetry of our times is being written not in the English-speaking world, but by these translated East European poets. So in fact, he said that these translations read much better as poems than original English poetry being written at that time. So that is the value of translation. And I'm very happy to say that Mustansir's poetry has survived the translation. It is partly because Hemant, Mustansir, myself, we are all urban creatures, partly because it is written in slang and cosmopolitan language, and also because it is not lyric, it is written in free verse, which is so much easier to translate. There is hardly any rhyme, alliteration, stuff which makes, for instance, Lorca is far more difficult to translate his lyrics than, let's say, Wisława Szymborska. So all this makes these poems very handy, and for the reader, it is a lot easier to appreciate Mustansir's poetry in translation.
હું હવે તમને આગ્રહ કરીશ કે તમે બે કવિતા ગુજરાતીમાં અમને બધાને વાંચો.
Mustansir, let me warn you, this Yamini is actually a Kutchi person, and what do you know, next she may start asking you a question in Kutchi language.
And I will do my best to answer.
Oh, that will be great.
Not really.
Here's this short poem. When Mustansir said that he preconceived writing walk in a collage of short poems of, let's say, 10 and 15 lines each. I mentioned Vasco Popa, and you will recollect that he is so famous for his cycles of poems, like the Quartz Pebble. He has written, I think, 15 or 20 such cycles. Now, here is a short poem of Mustansir, Ghar Kab Aoge. Of course, it is this popular slogan which we read at the backside of trucks. Tamara છેલ્લા વોટ્સએપ ને 14 દિવસ થયા. Now this is spoken by a young girl addressed to her husband. તમારા છેલ્લા વોટ્સએપ ને 14 દિવસ થયા. આપણા લગ્ન થયા ત્યારે હું 14ની જ હતી. હવે તમે પહેરેલા કપડે છો તો શું થયું? કપડા છે શું સિવાય કે ઓત પ્રોત થવામાં એક વિઘ્ન. હું ઉંબરે ઊભી છું મલમ લઈને. તમારા ઉઝરડાયેલા તળિયા સારું. સાબદા રહેજો. ઘર તરફ આવતા રસ્તા પર લોકો લાઠી લઈને ઊભા છે તો છાપરા ઠેકતા ઠેકતા આવજો મારા વાલા. જેમ તમે આવતા હતા હું 13ની હતી ત્યારે.
વાહ.
એક વધુ પણ વાંચું યામિની?
હા હા પ્લીઝ.
Now this also is about a lady, a much elder lady. શીર્ષક છે ભીતી નહીં, હું તારી પડખે જ છું. Have no fear, I'm here. It's written in third person. This is what a migrant says. તે ઊંડા શ્વાસો ભરી ભરીને સૂકી ખાંસી ખાતી હતી. That's a symptom of COVID, as we know. તે ઊંડા શ્વાસો ભરી ભરીને સૂકી ખાંસી ખાતી હતી ત્યારે અમે તેને ઝાંઝરપુરથી 30 કિલોમીટર પર ભેખડની છાયામાં છોડીને ચાલતા થયા. Abandon. બંને હાથે ઈશારા કરીને તેણે અમને જતા રહેવાનું કહ્યું. અમને આપી દીધા ફોન, પાસવર્ડ, ચિલ્લર અને દીકરી માટે લખેલી એક કવિતાની ચોપડી. She gifted her book of words for her daughter. Now, and the last line reveals what the poems are about. દીકરી માટે લખેલી કવિતાની ચોપડી કહ્યું એને વાંચી સંભળાવજો. એ તો 8 વર્ષની જ છે. એને કહેજો કે માં આવે જ છે. ચોપડી ખોલીને જોઉં છું. That migrant says, ચોપડી ખોલીને જોઉં છું તો પાને પાને એક જ પંક્તિ લખી છે, ફરી ફરી. Now poem is over. What is that line? ભીતી નહીં, હું તારી પડખે જ છું.
ઉદયનભાઈ, તમારી વિગત અને કવિતા સાંભળીને બહુ આનંદ થયો અને આગળ વધતા आपके काव्य संग्रह का हिंदी अनुवाद चलो पर गौर फरमाते और विचार विमर्श करने के पश्चात मुस्तानसिर भाई साहब काफी जटिल प्रश्न उठते हैं जिनमें भौगोलिक, विकसित और अविकसित स्तरों को मद्देनजर रखते हुए जो आपने हिंदी अनुवाद की परिकल्पना की है वो काबिले तारीफ तो है ही, मगर एक सवाल है कि इनकी संरचना के आधार स्तंभ क्या थे?
शुक्रिया यामिनी. जब ये कविताएं जब अंग्रेजी में लिखी गई थी तब जो लोगों का जो एक एक्सपीरियंस था उसके ऊपर थे. जब इनका अनुवाद करने बैठा तो क्योंकि मैंने ये पहली बार किया है कोई अंग्रेजी से दूसरी भाषा में अनुवाद, तो आसान नहीं था, काफी मुश्किल हुई और बार बार बदलते गया. बहुत सारे उसके वर्जन्स हुए, लेकिन इनमें एक जो बोली भाषा है, जो हम सब जो एक नॉर्मल तरीके से बात करते हैं, वही भाषा जहां तक हो सके वहां तक मैंने यूज करने की एक कोशिश की। एक थोड़ा मेरा भी लिमिटेशन है कि जो हिंदी में बोलता हूँ उसी में मैंने उसका ट्रांसलेशन किया है। तो जो एकदम फॉर्मल किस्म की हिंदी है उसमें तो मैं गया नहीं हूँ, मुझे ज्यादा आती नहीं है। लेकिन जैसे हम रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में बातें करते हैं, उसी के मुताबिक, उसी के मद्देनजर जो ट्रांसलेशंस किए हैं वो मैंने हिंदी में किए हैं। तो दैट इज मोर और लेस द वे आई हैव अप्रोच्ड इट।
क्या आप हिंदी में 2 कविताएं हम सबके लिए पढ़ेंगे?
जरूर। ये पहली कविता है किताब के आगे के हिस्से की, और इसका नाम है रात के मुसाफिर। एक किस्म से ये एक काफी सेंट्रल आइडिया है इस पूरे किताब की, जो आखिर के 2 पंक्तियों में आप सुन सकते हैं। और एक किस्म से जो हमारे देश में ये जो एक घटना हुई थी, उसका प्रॉब्लम वहीं पे बाहर आ जाता है। इसलिए जब मैंने हिंदी में इन पोएम्स को टाइटल किया था, तो आप देखोगे जो किताब में है, द टाइटल ऐसे था, चलो। लेकिन वो चलो जो वॉक का ट्रांसलेशन है, उससे थोड़ा आगे जाके वो चलो एक आह सी बाहर निकलती है कि वी आर वंस अगेन इन द सेम मेस दैट वी वर, और उसके बाहर हम निकल नहीं सकते हैं, तो चलो। तो ये एक दोनों प्रकार के एक एल्यूजन्स के कोशिश की गई थी। तो ये पोएम मैं ये कविता पढ़ के सुनाता हूँ। इसका नाम है रात के मुसाफिर। रात के मुसाफिर बहते हैं छोटे छोटे गांवों से, जैसे बादे सबा सड़कों पर हौले चले। सरसराहट होती है फिर सन्नाटा, लहरें उठती है, बिखरती है, फूलती है, जैसे चढ़ता पारा, मगर इतना भी नहीं कि सैलाब टूट पड़े। नहीं मधुमक्खियों जैसे यक दिमाग, यहाँ हर एक अपनी ही कहानी का हीरो है। भरी है ऐसी इनमें राहत की लालसा, सुलगने से पहले ही बगावत के हर चिंगारी पर ढलका देते हैं बाल्टी ठंडे पानी का। और
वाह,
शुक्रिया। एक और पोएम, एक और कविता मैं सुनाता हूँ, जिसका शीर्षक है जियोडेसिक। जियोडेसिक एक टेक्निकल टर्म है जो हम इंजीनियरिंग, फिजिक्स इत्यादि मैथमेटिक्स में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, और उसका बहुत सरल डेफिनेशन है कि 2 नुक्तों के बीच की दूरी, द शॉर्टेस्ट डिस्टेंस बिटवीन 2 पॉइंट्स। लेकिन इसमें जो एक क्राइसिस है माइग्रेंट की, जो जिसे चल के ही जाना है, वो थोड़ा बाहर एक्सप्रेस होता है। जियोडेसिक। 2 नुक्तों में सबसे कम दूरी हमारे बीच की, जैसे तनी हुई डोर, जैसे शाहीन की परवाज, जैसे तीर कामदेव का जिसकी नोक मैं चाहता हूं बड़ी सरलता से तुम्हारा दिल चीर जाए। तुम्हें मेरी याद आती है, ऐसे ही तुम्हारा हाथ उठकर स्तन को छूता है। मैं मजनू की तरह फटे हाल नंगे पांव चलता हूँ रेल की पटरियों पर जीपीएस भरोसे, यकीनन वो लगाएगा अनुमान, खींचेगा लकीर जो दो दिलों के स्टेशनों को जोड़ते हैं।
बहुत खूब, बहुत खूब। चलिए अब हर भाषा में सांभळिये सुकेचे कविश्री प्रत्येक शब्दावर लक्ष्य केंद्रित करताना, to understand the minutiae of poems from each section of the quadrilingual book as tectonic plates constantly pulling apart or diverging as they embed or drift into other languages. We begin with Dr. Dalvi's English poem, Who Was That? Where Was He From? And What Befell Him? And after you have read the poem, I would request you, Dr. Dalvi, to reflect on this particular poem in all the other languages that it's translated into and the similarities and differences that you see in each of them. And I would request Hemanda as well as Udayan Bhai to also do the same when we move forward. Please.
So, would you like me to read it in English and Hindi? And then perhaps Hemant and Udayan Bhai can read it in Marathi and Gujarati. Is that what you were
I
saying?
think you could read the English version
All
and
right.
then reflect on the other
Okay.
languages, and we'll
Sure.
have another poem being read by then.
Sure, certainly. So I'll just read the English version. The title of this poem is Who Was That? Where Was He From? What Befell Him? Is actually the lines from ghazal in Urdu by Shahriyar Akhlaq Muhammad Khan, a very famous one, which you will remember from another migrant kind of context, the film Gaman. This is where it was used in a very wonderful song. And the lines are, wo kaun tha, kahan ka tha, kya hua tha use, suna hai aaj koi shakhs mar gaya yaro. And this is the poem. Stripped down like an abandoned car, relieved of even the dignity of trousers, his shoes now adorn unknown feet. They woke, he did not. That's all there is to know. Koi nahi, aage chalo. A passing red light is hailed. Bimari se mara ya bhukmari se. Heads are shaken, an FIR lodged. As you can see, this is absolutely a multilingual poem, even in the English. And one has tried to do it in as unself-conscious a way as possible. Fortunately, it is possible because this is the way we speak. We speak all languages at once without reflecting on, we are moving from one to the other. We just go back and forth pretty much at random, pretty much the way we would like to express ourselves. And I think in the translations too, there has been this, which has been happening. So, when Hemant is translating this poem, then he uses a certain voice that is reflecting on this very unfortunate situation of a dead person who has been abandoned, who has died while walking, and even has, the clothing and shoes have been rooted off him, and there is nothing that remains other than, telling a passing police car that here is a death which has occurred. Koi shakhs mar gaya. So that I think Hemant has done very well in the manner in which he uses his Boli Bhasha, as you say. And what I have liked with Udayan's translations through this is also a certain amount of wordplay, which comes into use when he makes these translations. And of course, the multilinguality emerges through all the translations. uh, uh, like Hemant said that, there is no, at no point is there any attempt, pretense, or even desire for Shuddhata in any of these languages. Okay. And it is in this fog of multilinguality, if you like, that we all pretty happily operate. So that is what I would like to say about the manner in which they have translated this poem.
Very well put. I'll now request Hemant Bhau to read Everyone is Angry in Marathi. Unmute करा हेमंत भाऊ.
मला वाटलं मी अनम्यूट गेलेला ऑलरेडी. तर सगळ्यांमध्ये भरलाय राग. निगेटिव्ह, पॉझिटिव्ह हाय, पॉझिटिव्ह, निगेटिव्ह हाय. दिवसा आम्ही लपतोया, रात्री पायपीट करतोया. आगगाड्या आगगाडी माग धावतीया. आम्ही रखडतोया. उलट्या दिशेने आम्ही फरार. श्रीमंत आम्हासनी देतोया आजार. गरिबाईची भूक मिटत नाही नीट. गरिबाईची भूक मिटत नाही नीग. सगळ्यांमध्ये भरलाय रागाचा ढीग. सगळ्यांमध्ये भरलाय रागाचा ढीग.
And could you also reflect on the specific use of words in Marathi, as well as if you've seen the same or the differences in Hindi, Gujarati, or English, of how anger is vented in different languages?
हा, मी ऍक्च्युली बाकीच्या भाषेचा विचार केला तर त्यांना तो अँगर असा भरलेला वाटतोय. म्हणजे त्यांच्यामध्ये दोन्ही, म्हणजे हिंदी ट्रान्सलेशन किंवा मुस्तनफिरने जे लिहिलेलं आहे ते त्याच्यामध्ये त्या अँगर असा भरलेला आहे. म्हणजे इट इज लाईक पर्सन इज फुल ऑफ अँगर. व्हॉट आय चेंज्ड ऍक्च्युली that these people are so what you call, they are like nobody. So what they can do, they will just get angry and so much angry that everything, I mean, they are helpless. So all these angers are going to be like एक ढीग भरलेला आहे. ढीग म्हणजे it is like piled up. It is just piled up. And it is piled up in them. आणि माझ्यासाठी, I mean, for me, it is like, हे ढीग is basically kind of, used in two ways, different ways. One is like anger is kind of piled up, one, and second, anger, they are also piled up, I mean, they are helplessness. That helplessness is also there. I don't know whether I could tell you properly, because I thought that this poem itself, I mean, that dig itself will tell people that this is helplessness, at least in Marathi.
Yes, very, very much. We
And
get.
I mean, of course, we were also angry the way lockdown happened, suddenly somebody comes and tells you, chalo aaj se band, chalo aaj se nakabandi, chalo aaj se this. I mean, terrible mistake by Modi government, and I hope that they never come to power again. I mean, it's not a political statement, but poet, we feel that people were like so helpless, and I mean, we also could not do anything. I mean, if I wanted to go out, I mean, I was worried about what will I do and how will I go, and if I get catch hold of, I mean, if I catch this disease, terrible things. You can't do this like in a fraction of a moment, you know, or within 4 hours of a celebration. Terrible, terrible mistake done by our government. Anyways, thank you.
The times were uncalled for and unprecedented. So to make decisions in such times it would have been a very difficult task for anyone whatsoever. And the way frustration and anger was vented, because everybody had to do away with the way they lived their lives and move into a very different shell. So it had to be a very difficult situation. But one other aspect that I would like to hear in Hindi by Mustansir Bhai Saab is WhatsApp May 2nd.
WhatsApp में second ये कविता ऐसे रिफ्लेक्ट करती है जो अभी सोशल मीडिया या मोबाइल फोन यूसेज, इंटरनेट, ये कितना प्रचलित हो गया है सब लोगों में। ये सिर्फ अमीरों के लिए है या ऐसा तो कुछ है नहीं, जिसके पास होता है। और आजकल की जो एक तरीके की ऑल्टरनेट भाषा है वो तो चैट पे ही चलती है, और शायद हिंदुस्तान में सबसे ज्यादा व्हाट्सएप पे ही ये भाषा का उपयोग होता है। तो ये जो कविता है वो 4 व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस है। 3 व्हाट्सएप मैसेजेस लगभग 10:13 रात को है, और जो आखिरी व्हाट्सएप मैसेज है वो 12:01 को है। और ये एक इंस्ट्रक्शंस है जो एक आदमी किसी दूसरे को देता है जो इस वक्त रास्ते पे है, कि उसे क्या करना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसे वो जो एरिया है उससे वो ज्यादा वाकिफ है। सो ये कविता व्हाट्सएप के मैसेजेस के ढंग में लिखी गई है। व्हाट्सएप 2 मई। एक मिनट, I am in the wrong language, and I think that is one of the interesting things about this.
You will always be right, don't worry.
I was going to read it in Marathi. Just give me a sec.
Sure.
WhatsApp 2 मई। हाईवे छोड़ो, गांव में घुसो। जय माता दी गराज देख रहे हो, रहने दो। बाजार होगा वीरान बियाबान, सूंघ के ढूंढो जय श्री राम टी हाउस। वहां मिलेगा अबुल मतीन, वही सब चलाता है। तमीज से पेश आए तो अदरक चाय के साथ 2 ठोक नान खटाई भी देगा। जब तक चाहो रहो, फिर भी बेहतर होगा आधी रात तक निकल लो। याद रहे, अगर सायरन सुनाई दे छुप जाओ, अगर पुलिस दिखे भागो।
The instruction manuals for various people who have been following, the ones who've been leading the way, and how some freebies on the way was so imperative to just keep going. How is this reflected in other languages as well?
Well, in this case, it is pretty straightforward, in terms of the translation, because everything is telegraphic. This is like a telegraph message. All chats are incredibly short. They are compressed instructions, which are very easy to read and follow, and one can instantly kind of act on them. So in the case of this, I think the translations in all the languages were quite straightforward. And even in the original, I think it is quite straightforward.
So
well, the main point is the indication of how prevalent and ubiquitous a medium like WhatsApp is in all our lives at every scale in the society that we are living in.
So WhatsApp not only becomes the currency, but also the lingua franca of the nation, and how
It's the medium, no? It's the medium through which we communicate. And we have to look at the written word as a spoken language. Okay, because that is what happens. You know, people are probably now, of course, in WhatsApp, you can actually type in the Devanagari or in the Nastalik or something like that. But otherwise, earlier people would just, do a Roman transliteration. As I have done in many of the poems, Ghar Kabaoge, GHARKB, AAOGE, something like that. So that is probably how one would have chatted, or one still does, on a medium like WhatsApp.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I would now like to invite Udayan Bhai to read Parle Ji in Gujarati.
Now, this poem is about a television crew about to interview the plight of the migrants. Here is how it goes. Parle Ji. આવડીશું છોકરી લે છે એક પડીકું માસ્ક મેગાફોન વાળી મહિલા તેના ભાઈ બહેનને પણ અકેકું પડીકું આપે છે પછી માસ્ક પાછળથી સૂચના ભસે છે આજીવન ઉઝરડાયેલી સ્ત્રીને જમણેથી ડાબે ધકેલાય છે જેથી તેની બાંધણી ભર બપોરે ચમક ચમક થાય મરદને હુકમ કરાય છે તારે માથે પૈડાવાળી બેગ મૂક તેની ઉપર તારી છોકરી મૂક બાળકો ગલોટિયા ખાય છે ધૂળમાં માસ્ક સંતોષપૂર્વક જાય છે સલામત અંતરે રેકોર્ડની ચાંપ દાબે છે અને પૂછે છે કેવું લાગે છે here I can readily remember only one image which Hemant has brought out in his Marathi translation. The original English one says that the sari is glittering in the sun, but Hemant has added some colors. Indra Dhanusyacha Rangya Sarkha, something like that he has written. So he's added a rainbow to the sari of the woman who is made to rush from left to the right, so the camera can capture her sari colors. I'm just reminded, a very similar incident, a true incident. Was it the year 2000 or 2001 when there was this earthquake in Gujarat and particularly in Kutch, and devastating. 26th of January it was. And of course, the TV crew and newspaper men from all over the country rushed there. There was this town of Rapar, which was particularly devastated. So the journalists and the camera crew were clicking photographs, and house was reduced to rubble. So they gathered all the children of the house in front of the rubble and clicked the photograph. And this is a true fact. And just at that time, this group of kids, they started giggling. They were so happy that they were being photograph. And the senior editor blew his fuse. He said, "What the hell? You are supposed to be sad and crying. You spoiled my film. Why did you laugh?" So here is commercial exploitation of human misery, which is what Mustansir has brought out in this Parle Ji poem. Also, another example, this again is a true incident. I witnessed it about 25 years back. Hemant, at that time, Javed Akhtar's first book of his Diwan of Nazms and Ghazals had come out. And at Prithvi Theatre, it was his one-man show. He was reciting the Nazms. One of them is his celebrated poem, Bhook. He recounts how in his younger days he fainted. He was starving to Aaj तीसरा दिन है, आज तीसरा दिन है, and recounting that he faints in the poem, and then he is revived. So the audience was spellbound. Just then, somebody sitting near me excitedly got up and started. He pointed an accusing finger at Javed Akhtar, and he said, "Aren't you ashamed? Talking of hunger and the dying people like this, you are exploiting your own poverty for gaining poetical fame." And Javed had no time to reply, because having said about 7 or 8 excited sentences about how art should not be exploiting tragedies, that man fell down. He was rushed to the nearby Cooper Hospital. He was declared dead upon arrival. So this image and this conflict, whether it is okay for an artist, for a poet to write about human suffering, of course he should write, but he should keep an aesthetic distance, like largely Mustansir has done. He has not exploited the human suffering. He has maintained an aesthetic distance. I rest my case.
Thank you for so poignantly putting forth the premises to lead to such a case. And your instances, examples were something that really bring out the various nuances through the poems, which are seen in various languages as well. And at this point, I would like to urge the audience to send in your questions, or you may note them down and ask them after unmuting before. And as Dr. Mustansir Dalvi reads Lockdown, his last poem, and how you relive these experiences and what comes to your mind as questions. Mustansir Dalvi, could you kindly read?
Thank you, Yamini. I think Udayan has given some very, very searing examples of the notion of how tragedy and disaster gets exploited. I have to say that, it is a dilemma that I went through writing every one of these. And it is not something that I have been, I'm comfortable with, or I have resolved in any way. The dilemma is still very present. It's even present as we speak, here in this fairly rarefied kind of atmosphere, talking about human tragedy that is outside our doors, which we are not directly affected with. And do we have any right to, in fact, do that? As Udayan says, do we have any right to make an aesthetic out of it? So I don't know precisely the answers to that. Like I told you right in the beginning, writing these poems was a bit of a purging of the self. It was an act of solidarity. It was the way in which I could say that the people who are suffering these depredations and these hardships are also, fellow citizens, so I keep it just at that. You asked me to read Lockdown, and as it happens, not necessarily out of design, several of these poems and these set of 20 poems are kind of, twins. One can pick out two poems that are two different sides of things, and the reflection of that. So, for example, the poem which Udayan just read was Parle Ji, which is one of two prose poems. And the other one is a poem called Maina, which is about the same girl who has asked the question in the beginning of Parle Ji. So in the same manner, the WhatsApp poem which you asked me to read, which I read in Hindi, has its equivalent in this poem called Lockdown. So whereas the small town that the migrants kind of come into in the WhatsApp poem and are told whom to look for and where to seek refuge and so on, Lockdown is a later situation where there is such a complete lockdown that there is no sign of a human being in that town at all. And in the absence of human presence, what is that town like? And this is the poem which describes that. It's the same, you will recognize the same contexts mentioned in the WhatsApp poem. So let me just read Lockdown. Lockdown. The painted God King on the rolling shutter of the Jai Shri Ram Vaishnav tea house offers salvation, not libation. A bitch has had a litter on the stoop. Mother is well. Her peripatetic spouse has his way with a severed hand. Jai Mata Di garage is now a chassis cemetery. Murderous covens of crows convene on corpses of trucks. Tires roll out of this one street town all by themselves.
It's beautiful. It's so moving, and the tires moving all by themselves is an image which just makes you stop, stand, stare, reflect, ponder, and just be stunned. It's beautiful. I would like to thank each and every one of you for sharing your thoughts, reading your poems, and reflecting on other languages as well as on the one that you have translated yourself. I'd also like to thank the Asiatic Society for enabling this discussion in 4 languages and having people listen to them in the language, as it were. And just a reflection that we had 100 years to prepare for a pandemic to strike, but are we really prepared even now, and can we ever be, is the question. And
Yamini,
yeah.
if I may, thank you so
Sure.
much for conducting this. This event was specifically about languages and about the kind of multilinguality which we are in. But as Hemant mentioned, I think a little before we started this program, there is a 5th language as well, which we do need to acknowledge. And that is the kind of language that everybody can understand and everybody can comprehend. And that is the language of the visual. And this book is absolutely incomplete without the absolutely glorious and fabulous paintings of Sudhir Patwardhan. He has very, very kindly allowed us to use some of the paintings that he made in the past year, also reflecting upon the experience sort of which are paralleled in Walk. And we have been able to use them on the cover as well as with every language section. So I must acknowledge Sudhir Patwardhan, and to me that becomes the fifth language, the visual language in the in this four language book. So I know he is present in the audience. I would just like to thank him and acknowledge the great contribution that these images make. And if you permit me, I would like Hemant to hold up a copy of one, the book is still in process, but he has a copy to show us, and perhaps he can show us the cover and maybe some of the paintings from inside the book.
Perfectly, yes. That's the right time to showcase the fifth language.
The fifth language, yes.
Yes, but
That's
I
beautifully
will
put,
show
I
you
must
cover
say.
now. But
Uh,
maybe when we are all there together, that time I'll show you all the pictures.
Well, we can look at the cover here, Hemant,
Yeah.
which is a painting by Sudhir Patwardhan called Distant City. And it spreads across the front and back, but you will be able to see it in the book as well.
Maybe you could read out some of the the blurbs at the back, on the back cover, Ranjit Hoskote and Jerry Pinto, what they've said about the book. Would you like to do that? And also, I think everyone can unmute themselves and ask questions, make comments. I think that'll be much nicer, isn't it?
Yeah,
Please,
sure.
everyone, anyone would like to say something, please unmute yourself and do speak up. Is everyone listening?
Everybody is listening.
Are you not able to unmute yourself? Usha, are you there?
Hello, I'm Sudhir.
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, no.
Hello,
Are
Sudhir.
people able to unmute themselves, Usha?
No, they
Yeah.
need to. They need to. I can ask
Yeah,
everyone
do
to
it
unmute.
themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, and if I may just intervene, I think Sudhir is making a comment.
No,
If
that
we can
we'd love to
please
hear
permit
him. We'd love to hear him.
Yeah.
Just wanted to thank Mustansir and Hemant and all of you. A wonderful evening. Really, it is a privilege to be part of this. Thank you, of the book. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sudhir.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to say anything? I think people are a little overwhelmed.
I said, can I
And
say something? I'd like to say something.
yeah, please do, Mangala. Yeah.
I would like to, I loved what was read.
Your voice is not very clear.
I loved what was read. And I'd only like to say something about the dilemma he spoke about. In fact, the beauty of a poet is that he can be himself as well as others. And it's not exploiting suffering. To be able to suffer in others is what makes you a poet. And I think there is no dilemma here except for commercial exploitation. When you write about suffering, you know nothing about. You're actually doing what a poet should do.
I take that, yes.
And another thing about your title, I love the title because it has so many nuances, so many meanings. It could be walk, could be the imperative, walk. It could be a kind of order, or it could be walk. It's an appeal to people, and walk as the only solution. So I just love that title.
That's very interesting you say that, because in all the four languages, the way walk has been used in the title bring out these different allusions.
Okay, can we hear the title in Marathi and
Marathi,
Gujarati
yeah,
and
yeah.
Hindi? How
Well,
this
in Marathi it is Chala, in
Chala.
Gujarati it is Chalu, and in Hindi it is Chalo.
Oh, so it's been okay. So it's chalo in Hindi. All right. No, very
Say-
nice.
Yeah. When you
Sort
say
of.
chalo, it's a kind of collective thing, with others also are involved in it.
Yeah, but like I mentioned earlier, to me,
Yeah.
chalo is also a kind of sigh of helplessness,
Yes, yes.
that,
Chalo.
I mean, it's all going down the tube in any case, so chalo.
And it's wonderful, these poems, because see, so many people were in denial about the migrants. Total denial. When you talked about their suffering, they didn't want to hear. And they said it's not that bad. And I can just tell you a personal thing. My taxi wala, he comes from UP. A whole lot of them got together and went. On the way, some fell ill, one or two died. And they managed to reach after such a long time. But there was just one name, Ghar Chale. And they've come back now, but what they went through was pathetic. And I think something like someone like you has captured all this. Wonderful work.
Yes, and captured it also in the other languages. This is what I found quite amazing. That in some of these poems in Marathi sounded so much nicer because you're talking about the language of the people. I'm sorry, I don't understand Gujarati that much, so I won't comment on that. But when Hemant Bhau, said a few things, the language of the common people and what he heard. I mean, to me, that rang so true. How did you feel about that, Mustansir? Your
So
in English translation to Marathi.
I think I was in awe of seeing my words emerge in different languages. To me, it was just something that was amazing to observe as it emerged. And of course, it went through iterations and so on, as any good writing does. But in that act itself, I learned so many things. And, in one sense, I did a bit of cheating as well. I piggybacked on some of the translations to help me with my own Hindi translation.
And did you read it out to others to ask them,
Well,
they felt about it? I mean,
not,
I'm
not
the
so much. It was
translation.
mostly
No.
read out, but not read out aloud. I think
Okay.
here today is the first time that we are hearing all the poems read out aloud.
I think it's just been absolutely wonderful. But I think there's someone else who wants to say something before I give a vote of thanks. Yogesh Shah? Yogesh,
Yes,
would you
ma'am.
like to say something?
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
do.
I just
Please do.
want to say that it is said that in translation, it is in Hindi that अत्तर को एक शीशी में से दूसरी शीशी में डालते हो तो कुछ तो सुगंध उड़ जाती ही है. But after this session, I must say that Udyan Bhai and Hemant Bhai added some flavor rather than something has been removed or something has been gone out. They have added in their own way something more to the what Mustashir Dalvi Saab has done.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
agree.
So true. So true.
I fully agree.
Thank you.
I am reminded of a naughty quote by somebody that translation, like a wife, if she is faithful, she is not beautiful, and if she is beautiful, well, she is not faithful.
Well, I think, yeah, we won't discuss that. Hemant Bhai, please unmute yourself. Yeah. Yamini, you too. Any more comments from the audience? Yeah, I wish more of Mustansir's friends and colleagues had been here. I'm sure they would have had a lot to say, and they're going to listen only to the recording at a later stage. But I just have to say thank you so much. It has been really superb. It's been riveting, moving, and especially because we were listening to this program in all these languages and recited by people who are poets themselves. They're not just translators, and all four of you, being poets. I mean, it has been quite a treat for us. and all this reflection on language, on the current usage of language. Mustansir, you talked about, well, you've shared your thoughts and on a very important subject which has affected all of us, which has touched all of us. It's been highly insightful. You have gone deep into human emotions, into suffering and misery, and we could vibe with all that. And I think it has been yes, it has been a very moving experience. And Yamini, I think you've been such a superb actor. I'm sure everyone will agree that, having you there, yeah, really, a vote of, I think a round of applause for Yamini, because, and the fact that you can speak all these languages with the correct accent and the correct pronunciation, one wouldn't imagine that they're not all, that both Gujarati and Marathi and Hindi are not your mother tongue. And so, I'm very sensitive to language, and I was really, quite amazed at your ability to do this, and the fact that you could pick up the salient points for discussion, with each one of these speakers. And so all I can say is, there's so much more I could say, but I don't want to bore everybody. But you've been a superb facilitator. Thank you so much. Hemant Dipte, what really touched me was your connection with the common folk. And as I said earlier, it sounded so good in Marathi. Marathi is my language too. And when I heard you speak, it was, I felt that the poems came alive in a very special manner. Especially the poem on anger. The poem on anger, I felt was, especially good. And Udayan, I like the way you analyze the problems of translation from different languages. Because, Yamini had mentioned the translations in French and Spanish and other languages. And so that too was very thoughtful of you. And we really enjoyed that. Because, at the Asiatic, we love to analyze language, literature, all manner of cultural aspects of life and living. So it's just a very big thank you to all of you. And we are really ever so happy that you agreed to do this for us. And it's been quite a unique experience. And we'd love to share this on YouTube with as many people as I'm sure there are many who'd be interested in listening in at a later stage. As for the participants, we are delighted that you have been here with us and to experience this poetry, and that you have joined in the conversation with your comments and inputs. So it's been an extremely enriching session. And as always, our grateful thanks to Honorary Secretary, Dr. Usha Vijayalakshmi, without whose technical support, such events would not have taken place. And so, as always, grateful thanks to her. Thank you very much. And I do hope we can meet in the Darbar Hall and that you can come with your book. And if Sudhir Patwardhan can be there as well, and perhaps talk a little about his experience with doing the paintings. That would be a very special evening. So let's see when we can organize that. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Meenal. Thank you so much. It's a great honor and privilege to do this for the Asiatic Society.
On behalf of the Asiatic Society, I thank you. I thank everyone.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.